Yo, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. Today we're doing the Python 10-week challenge, and we are doing week 7, I believe. So we're actually pretty far along. All right, so today we are actually doing a really cool one because this one's kind of a 2 video in 1 because I actually created 2 programs, but one's in Python, one's just a script, and they work together, and you could combine them if you wanted, but it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see what it does here in a minute. But anyway, basically, if you guys like this content, if you guys are liking the Python stuff, you got to let me know. You got to like the video and subscribe because so far the Python videos aren't doing super well, which is fine. I don't really care. I don't usually do Python on my channel. So if it's something we want to continue, I'll keep continuing it. If not, no worries. We'll just go back to our regular content as well. So before we start, here is, you have to import argparser, request, sys, and URL join, okay? So why are we doing this? What are we doing, right? So we're doing a robots.txt crawler. What this does is you give it a website. And if you guys don't know, the robots.txt file basically tells websites, or websites tell search engines what not to search for. Now, some of this is important. What I mean by that is Google and all them, they don't search for these websites for a reason. Some of it's because it might just be data. And so therefore, website or Google searching for, hey, I want to find cool pictures or something. Well, this might just be raw data and they don't want you to waste the website's resources. So when you're searching website, you're making requests to that website. It doesn't want Google and crawlers to just constantly be updating and looking at this because it's just going to waste a lot of resources. So some of it's legitimately just resource, usage. It's trying to save time for everybody involved. Then also some of it is actually the opposite. Some of it is, hey, we don't want you to expose on Google our admin page or something like that. So when you go to a site, and I'm going to use an example here. This is Gardener.com. Now, if you guys are wondering how I got this site, I literally just Googled cybersecurity, and this was one of the sponsored ones. So we're going to use this as an example today. So when you go to the site, you see Gardener.com. Every site should have this. You go to robots.txt, and look at this. So you guys probably can't read them. It's pretty small, but that's all right. This just says disallow, and it shows a handful of sites. What's that mean? Simple. It just means, hey, Google, don't show these on your site. Don't go and search these. Because what Google does is crawls a website, and it's going to get keywords. So when you search, it shows you what site has those keywords, right? It's saying, hey, don't do that here. Do not do that here. And you notice here's a big one. Docx, PDF, PowerPoint. Don't allow people to search for our files, right? So that's pretty big because that tells us, hey, they don't want us to search their files. I wonder why. It's their login screen is disallowed, meaning they don't want people just finding their logon screen. So that's all stuff that is good information. So what we're going to do with Python is we're going to take those. So this is a pretty cool little program. You see we used argument parser. The robots.txt crawler is the name of the program. The description is a tool that searches a website's robot.txt file and then pulls words from those sites. And I'll show you what I mean by what pulls words from the sites. I should probably, I'll probably change the description a little bit, and this code is on the GitHub, the Stuffy24 GitHub that we created. So I'll put that in the link if you guys want to check it out. The description is not exactly right because that's what the two tools do together, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see we did parser.add argument, and this one, by the way, I didn't use a guide or anything. I just went off because this is a tool I created once before using bash scripting, and I made it better with Python, so that's why I did it. So parser.add argument, you can see we add target, and it's required. So what that means is if you just run this script without an argument, it's not going to run, meaning if I go here and I go to my terminal and I say, you can see here it is, it's robots.list.py, and I say python 3 robots.list.py, and I don't click anything. You notice it says usage robots.txt crawler tac t target. So and it says error, the following arguments are required. So you have to have a target. If you don't have a target, it's not going to work for you. Now, you can see once we get past the target, here's our first function, or our first defined function. You can see robots.text or underscore text, excuse me. This adds the robots text to the end of the URL we specified. So what does that mean? Basically, the website that we specify, which is our argument, see, it says args.target, so argument.target, So whatever the argument you put in there, it's going to take it. And you can see it's going to strip all of these hashtags, all these forward slashes, and it's going, or no, I'm sorry, I have strip first. It's going to strip it, meaning it's going to get rid of pretty much all the extra crap. So like if you accidentally put spaces and stuff like that, and it's going to append, it's going to add this forward slash and then robots.text. So what that means, basically, long story short, you're taking URL join, you're taking the URL that we give it, and then you're taking the robots.text and you're joining them. That's what it's doing. Now you can see pretty obvious or pretty easily. Then you're setting a GET request. So you're saying, hey, requests or response is requests.get. So the request is URL or the request.get, and then the robots URL, which we defined right here. So we're actually taking this and saying, hey, do a GET request. Pretty easy. If you do a GET request, you're going to see the robots.text, right? And then if the response status code was 200, meaning it's successful, then we have the response.text, meaning we now have it in a text format. Now, if the status code is not 200 else, if it's anything else, we don't return anything. What's that mean? 200 means you actually connected and it was successful. If it was like a 400 error or whatever, it's not successful. We don't want it to try and do everything else. So now, here's the key to it. The reason this Python script's better is because if you just ran a GET request, you're going to get a lot of information. I don't want to get a lot of information. I only want those robots.text directories that they specified. So you can see those directories that we talked about here. If I go to the, nope, not that one. Oh, maybe I exit it, whatever. If I go to the gardener.com and I do the robots.text, you'll see it only gives you a slight directory. Well, that's good, but we can't use that in a workable format, right? We need it to be a web directory to actually use it. So we need to format it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to format it here with the defined format URLs. So for path, so this is a for loop. If you have watched any of my recent videos, you've seen what a for loop, how we describe a for loop. So a for loop, it's just going to keep running through it until it's done. So it's going to say for the path and disallowed paths, which you can see the disallowed paths get actually started. Whoops, right, where's it at? Right here, where are we at? All right, so the disallowed paths are right here. And that's going to be an array or a list that gets defined, and I'll explain it. So you're going to take the disallowed paths, and you're going to say, okay, we need the base URL, okay, which, again, that's going to make the base URL, which is just gardener.com. And then we're going to take the formatted URLs, and you notice they're just saying equals nothing right now, and the reason for that is because we need to define it later. So now for path and disallowed paths, the URL join, it joins the base URL, and then the path that we created. So it's going to take that, let's say, /PowerPoint, whatever it was, and then the base URL, gardener.com, and it's going to say gardener.com/PowerPoint, right? That's what it's going to do. It's going to make it a website for us. And I'll show you what that looks like. Now, here's the main function, and this is what's going to be called upon and calls on these other functions. So you can see robots.text equals robots.text, right? Okay, cool. Now, if robots_texts, so if that has something in it, disallowed paths equals, and you can see they're just defining it right now. They're not saying anything's in it. They're creating an array or a list with nothing in it right now. And then the lines, they're doing the same thing. They're splitting it into lines so that way it can be formatted correctly, because you don't want it to be just one long string. You need it to be split up in line. Okay, so now for line and lines, so again, a for loop. So for all of these URLs, we're going to say we want it to, if it starts with disallow. So if you remember looking at the robots.text, there were a bunch of files or file paths that started with disallow. That's where we want to start. We want those. We want the disallow ones. We don't need the sitemaps and stuff like that, because sitemap is not what we're looking for here. Now we could add that in here if we wanted to, but that's not what I wanted to do. So what we did is we said, okay, split it at the disallow, and then give it a space because there's a space in there, and that's the path we want, right? So, and then we went ahead and we stripped the spaces out of it here and added the robots.text up there, or the contents of the robots.text up there. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Basically, all this is formatting it in a way that we can use it, and I'll show you how that works. Now, and then you can see we did another for loop. So for the URLs in the formatted URLs, meaning the formatted URLs they're completed. These are the URLs that look good and are what we need. And then it's going to print them. Now, if there's nothing, if there's nothing, no contents, it's just going to say failed to retrieve the file. So let's go ahead and run this and see what it looks like, right? So we're going to say we want to run robots, Python 3, robots.list. And then we need to remember, we have to give it a target. If we don't give it a target, it's not going to work. Now, you need to make the target of the whole website, Gardner.com. Right? So when we hit enter, you're going to see it's going to print out all the disallowed entries, meaning all the basically things that it doesn't want you to know about. And again, it's not hiding it really because everyone knows about the robots.txt, but it's just the fact that they don't want you to search there means there might be stuff there. Okay, so let's see. What did we get here? We got an error. Let's see. Most recent file user connection, create connection. Okay, so something happened. I may have changed it. Okay, so I may have changed the code without paying attention. Let's see. So I know I ran it earlier and it worked just fine. So let's do this. We're going to cd into Gardner, because that's where we were doing it. All right. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to get rid of, oh, that's why. So this one, or maybe that's not why. So anyway, this one, here we go. It's the same thing. I just am going back a directory. You can see I just messed up the formatting of it, which is fine. So you can see this is what it looks like. It's going to go in, and it's going to say, okay, Gardner, CGI bin, technology, media, IT content, PV object, all these are, and then there's the doc ones. These are the ones I was trying to show you earlier, but it's so small I don't think you guys could see it. But you can see wildcard doc, wildcard docx, PDF, etc., etc. They do not want you to find their PDFs in there. So this would be already a really good tool for me to go, okay, well they've got documents out there, but I don't know why they are hiding them from me, right? Now, what we're going to do now is, because we got this, I would usually save this, and you can see I saved it under Gardner.txt, okay? Now comes our second part of our process. So now we have Gardner.txt, and you can see we have all of these things. Now, some of these, because they have wildcards in there, you may have to go in and actually manually start enumerating some of these, and that's fine. You could even create something that would use, Dirbuster or something on those. But for now, we don't want to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to use my script, which is right here. And this is such an easy script. Look at this. It's like 5 lines or something. I mean, obviously it's 12, but that half of it's commented and stuff. So this script, all it's going to do is it's a while loop, meaning all it's going to do is go through this while it's reading from that file that we gave it. So here's where we're specifying the first argument, which is whatever argument we give it, which will be the file we give it, is going to be fed into this while loop. Now, all it's doing, now, the reason I have defanged here, echo line, trd, whatever, blah, blah, all that. So what it's doing is it's taking, so right here, it's taking the file, Gardner.txt. So all I did was save the contents from earlier. It's taking this, and it's going down each one and doing this to it. And what's it doing to it? It's taking it and it's defanging it is what it's called. Basically what I'm doing is I'm removing, so you can see it's going to echo it, and then it's going to feed it into this tr, which is translate, if you guys don't know, and then delete. I want to delete all the forward slashes. Now, why would I do that? I'm deleting all the forward slashes because in Linux, it's not going to read that properly. It can't have forward slashes because then it's starting to think you're trying to change directories and stuff. So we go ahead and do that, and that now is saved as defanged. So when it's defanged, meaning it doesn't have those special characters and it can be read properly, we make a directory, and you can see I've already done this. Here's all the directories it made. It made all these different directories, right? And this is based on their stuff that we covered already. So when it makes these directories, what it's going to do then is it's going to make the directory, it's going to change into that directory, and then we're running a really cool program called Cool. I've covered it on this channel before. And what we're doing is we're saying, okay, take the new directory that we gave it, okay, which is now the directory they're hiding from us. So now we have a whole website with a directory that they're hiding from us. And any characters that are unique, or any words that are unique over 8 characters long, save it in this, whatever the website is, api.txt file. Now, why would I do that? Now I'm creating a word list. So that's a word list that maybe that company, whatever, uses unique words in their language, the way they talk and stuff like that. It's actually a psychology problem. So psychologically, when you're exposed to certain words and stuff like that, you actually are more likely to use them in passwords. So psychologically speaking, the likelihood of finding a unique word in here that somebody at the company uses as a password is very strong. So now we have a word list that we can start to generate password lists and things like that. Now, then from here, you can see we're going to get the meta file. What does this do? This looks for files on there and gets the metadata off the files from us, so we don't have to do it all manually. And then obviously TAC E is email. This is going to look for email, basically any unique emails at the on the website. So then it's going to do all that, and then it's going to actually go back and change back into the regular directory and then do it again for each line. So what it's doing, grabbing all the information off of the website for us, and then it's going back in and saving it. So you can see, since we're in the Gardener, we'll clear this out. Since we're in the Gardener one, I've already done this. The reason I already did it is because I can show it to you how it runs, but it takes a little bit. So I didn't want to do it. But you can see right here, there should normally be HTTPS. There should normally be 2 forward slashes here and then a forward slash here. Well, there's not now. So these are directories. So we're going to say HTTPS and we're going to say CGI bin. That's the one we're going to go into. It's just the first one. And you can see it created these documents for us. Gardener.com email list, Gardener.com metadata, and Gardener.com api.txt. So let's go ahead and cat the Gardener.com email list first. So the email list, look at that. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 emails that email addresses that we actually can use for social engineering now. We also can see, now this one, obviously these are all contact information, it looks like, but we can see here that we might have ways to social engineer them, like investor relations. So now we can create an investor email. Now, the other thing you can see here too is if you had a bunch of names, which we might find in some of these other ones, you can actually start to see their formatting of their emails. So let's say they use like Bob Ross, bob.ross at Gardener.com. Well, now all we got to do is find out who works there, and we know the format is first name dot last name at whatever.com, and we can start sending emails. The other thing is we'll look at the metadata. I don't know that they're API metadata. I don't know that there's going to be oh crap, I was looking at the wrong thing. So I don't know that there's going to be any metadata. There's not, and that's because there was no files on that directory. Some of these might have files on the directory, and then there will be metadata in there. Now, the other one we'll do is the api.txt, and this is going to basically be the word list that it creates for us, right? And look at that. These are all unique words that it's created for us. Look how many words it's created for us. It's all the words that are over 8 characters long on that website. And it only prints them off once, right? Now you can see there's some Chinese characters, blah, blah, blah. But like some of these, you would never, like Australia, Afghanistan, America, those are just obviously countries, but you would never look at some of these like Gart strap. What is that? I don't know. Maybe you guys know, but that could be a unique thing at that company that only that company uses or whatever. And people work on it, whatever their Gart strap is, right? Maybe people work on that. Well, now you have a unique word that you can add to your password lists, and guess what? Someone at that company probably uses it if they work in it, right? So this is a chance for you to start really enumerating, and all you have to do for this script that I've created is go back to the Gardener.txt and feed it to it. So what I mean is, we'll find it here. There it is. So you can see I just went back one directory and ran the cool for loop. That's the name of the script. And then I gave it the argument gardener.text, and it printed all this off for me. And so after all that, I'm able to just go ahead and start going through these and looking for useful information from all of their robots.txt lists. So this is all stuff they were supposedly trying to hide from me, but now I've crawled it and I've gotten all the data. So I can do this. The reason I split these up, some people might ask, why did you split them up? Why didn't you make it all one tool? Is because a couple of reasons. Number one, these things, these wildcards, I want this saved by itself. What I mean is I want the file, because I would probably go through here before I actually ran it and look at these wildcard ones, and I'd probably comment them out or put them in a separate file or use a separate file to actually run the script, because I know that's not going to come back with anything, because a wildcard means anything, and this is going to try the wildcard exactly. That's not what I want. So I would go through and vet this for one. For two, the other main reason I did this is because I want to be able to use the robots.txt, all these links. I want to be able to use them for multiple tools. I don't want to just use them for this one tool. The other final reason is because there's, depending on what you're trying to do, I would change that for loop a little bit for me personally. And that would be because I would probably save it all under one file. I'd probably append each file. So that way it just saves under 3 files that are the word lists, the emails, the metadata, and just save it all in one. But again, I wanted you guys to be able to see it. I wanted you to physically be able to see each one. The other nice thing, or the other thing to keep in mind when you guys are using this script, if you're using it, I'm not going to give you this script. I'm not putting it in. I may put it in the GitHub later. Actually, I'll put it in the GitHub. It doesn't really matter to me. It's pretty easy to make. But again, I would change it. The robots.txt, this just took a little bit of troubleshooting to get the formatting correctly. But other than that, it was pretty easy. It's a pretty simple script. But the nice thing is, again, you go to those robots.txt files, .text directories, and it's very common that people know to search these, but this actually does a lot of the legwork for you. I don't have to go to the website. And now, should you some of them? Yeah, probably. If you see a login one, right? Like stuff like that. But it is difficult to actually sit here and scrape these sites slowly, methodically. This does all that for you. And it's using one tool, cool, and the Python, and that's it. And you can have this data pretty quick. Now, I will tell you, if you guys are running this script, the for loop for the file, depending on how many. So I'll show you. I did it on Bing.com just to show you. If I go to Bing, you can see there's only a handful, but watch how big this Bing.txt is. So I stopped it early because this actually was taking a very long time. So I want you to understand that this can take hours if need be. So this might be something you set and forget. So just keep that in mind. If you guys like this content, if you guys are liking the different things you can do with Python and Bash scripting and stuff like that, let me know and we'll keep making programs. And then if not, let me know that as well so that we can just go straight to the nitty-gritty hacking stuff that we've done in the past. So hopefully you guys have a great day, and thanks, guys. Bye.